I have this background I created, and I'm using numbers to kind of coordinate with the layers I have. So we have, I'm actually going to go ahead and change these to 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, there we go. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 layers, and each object you see here is coordinating with that particular layer. Now, if we were to just zoom in normally with our, like with any tool, like if we were just to kind of, there we go, zoom in, it's like we're zooming in on just a flat image.
Right.
And that is going to, well, you know, not really give it that much depth. It's kind of like we're actually looking at like an image on a 2D image on a 3D object, and it's not just going to have any depth to it. So what we can do is we can set up a new camera layer. So we go to our plus button right here to add a new layer, and I'm going to add a camera to it. Now additionally, this is what my whole file looks like here. You can see that I'm going really wide outside of the scene. That's totally fine. Doesn't really matter because we're not going to see all of that extra stuff. But who knows, it might actually be helpful. Now with this camera layer, we are also going to add a peg to it. And we do that by hitting this little orange button right above all these plus buttons, and that will add a peg. Essentially what we're doing is that we're not moving the camera itself, we are adding animations to the peg layer. This way we can toggle that on and off and just kind of like interact with it differently. Look at it this way, like one of you is holding up a camera phone and recording, and another person is picking up that person and moving them. So if you want to be able to get a little silly with that. Now that we have this done, what we can do with the camera is we can, or actually I'm going to extend all of these scenes real quick out, or not scenes, sounds out, so that way we can actually work with that. So instead of just moving the camera around, I'm actually going to add a keyframe. This little button right here is F6, that will add a keyframe. And I'll go over here to 30, and I'll add another keyframe. Now that we have this, what we're able to do, this is going to be really cool. There are 2 ways you can do this. You can either view it from the top or view it from the side. I prefer the top. I'm not sure why. There's really no...
How did you get that? The top thing?
Oh, you can either go to Windows and choose top, and that'll turn on. Or you can even have it as a permanent window over here, where you can hit plus, top, and do the same thing here.
Okay.
And what this will do is you will see now you have this yellow line, and I can choose this. I can zoom in, so it's still looking pretty flat, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna look slow.
Now with the keyframe though, if I zoom in like this, I can still animate it.
Oh. Yeah.
Now, that is one way that you guys can zoom in and out of your soldiers laying on the battlefield at the end. But that doesn't really have a lot of depth to it at all. It still looks flat. So what we do, this is going to be really cool, is each one of these layers is represented by that black line. But we got 6 layers all in that black line. What's that telling us? They're all on the same axis, really. They're all in the same position. So there are 2 ways we can move it back. We can use the translate tool. This will move any layer around in the X, Y, or Z axis. So if I were to take, I'm gonna do the clouds, number 5. So here, this is why I have the top layer. If I move these back, It actually just happens to be it happens to be behind my scene. But if I'm moving it back, what's happening now? If I were to zoom in, we were starting to be able to see that happening, but what's the problem with the sky?
It's kind of shrunken down.
Kind of shrunk it down, exactly, because we had moved it back with the translate tool. I'm hitting Command Z just to go back a few times right here. This is really cool. This is one of my favorite tools in Harmony. Is this one right here? It looks like one big block with one small block in front of it, called Maintain Size. What this does is that this will keep the visual scale in the camera view as you move your axes, as you move your layers around in the Z axis. So, I'm going to start off with number 6. That's the sky layer. And if I were to move that back, that should be moving here. Come on. There we go. Not sure why I wasn't doing that. And you'll notice that what's happening now is each one of these layers I'm moving, if we're thinking of this like we're viewing it from a top view, like a bird's eye view here, do we see each one of these black lines? That is our layer that we're moving back. So what I'm doing now is I'm dictating the space between all of these objects. So now let's try zooming in. We're noticing it here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're doing is that we're having some offset elements.
Okay.
Let me just kind of slowly zoom our layer in. Now, when you export this out, I also recommend that you make sure that when you have your display source selected, if it's not displaying or if it's not showing up in your export, try going back in and choose display all. That's because sometimes that tag may not be attached to the particular display that you're trying to export. So this will really allow you to be able to export and get all this cool, awesome goodness here. Are there any questions, comments?
How do you make it like spin, like clockwise? Like
Great
that?
question. If you want it to spin here, then I would recommend the transform tool. So here, you can also use the rotate tool up here too. So if I have this camera layer right here, I can select this using that rotate tool.
So you selected which one, the keyframe?
And you can kind of show how you want to kind of spin it around right here. I grabbed the keyframe,
Okay.
the last keyframe right here. That is a long spin, so I don't like that. So to start over from the beginning here, take this rotate, and you just kind of indicate. See how I'm just spinning it around like this, so I'm gonna get this crazy, kind of makes me want to puke right there. No, that's not gonna be good for us. But if I just want it to be like a single spin, I just spin around once and
There we go. Okay.
it kind of does the same thing. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Now, when you're doing that, it's going to be, you're going to notice here, what's happening at the top?
It's kind of like empty.
Right, it's empty because if I turn off my layer, see how my sky is not fully showing up right here. In your case, in your scene, that sky layer is going to be your ground layer.
Okay.
What we're going to have to do, because if we were to export that, that would be showing up as just like pitch black.
Okay.
We could take your sky layer and simply just make it like, oop.
Really big.
Bigger than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny, that little drop right there is supposed to be the number 6 that I'd written in there earlier. So now, if we were to add that frame, still got a weird
Still got the line there.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh yeah, that's working so much better now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yep, so if for the spin, what I'm getting at is that you need to make sure that your very far back layer, the bottommost layer, is large enough that as you spin, it's not going to have any of its parts in, or any of the outside parts in the seam here. I'm still in